What if the greatest strength you could ever possess is something the world sees as a weakness? What if the key to unlocking profound growth, unshakable peace, and a deeper connection with God isn't found in being louder, stronger, or smarter, but in something far more powerful and quiet? There is a forgotten foundation, a secret posture of the heart that opens the floodgates of heaven. Yet it's the one thing our pride fights against every single day. In our world, we are taught to stand out, to build our brand, to make our voice the loudest in the room. We see confidence as king and assertiveness as the only way to get ahead. Humility, on the other hand, is often misunderstood. It's mistaken for having low self-esteem, for letting people walk all over you, or for thinking you are worthless. But this is a worldly definition, a pale shadow of the real thing. True, biblical humility has nothing to do with weakness. It's not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less often. It is a quiet confidence rooted not in our own abilities, but in the boundless ability of God. It is the clearest and most accurate view of reality, where we see ourselves exactly as we are, and more importantly, we see God for exactly who He is, immense, all-powerful, and all-loving. Pride puts a filter over our eyes, distorting everything. It makes us the center of our own universe. Humility removes that filter, allowing us to see the magnificent truth of God's place at the center of all things. It's the starting point, the fertile ground where every other spiritual fruit begins to grow. Without it, our faith can become brittle and self-serving. With it, we become flexible, teachable, and ready for whatever God has in store. If we ever need a picture of what this looks like, we need to look no further than Jesus Himself. He is the ultimate paradox, the King of all creation, who chose the path of a servant. Think about the sheer scale of this decision. He existed in perfect unity and glory with the Father, yet He willingly set that aside. He didn't cling to His divine rights but chose to empty Himself, taking on the form of a human being. He entered our world not in a palace, but in a humble stable. He didn't surround Himself with the powerful and influential, but with simple fishermen and tax collectors. His most profound lesson in leadership came not from a throne, but on His knees with a towel and a basin of water, washing the dusty, calloused feet of His friends. This act was shocking in His culture. It was the job of the lowest servant. Yet here was the Master, demonstrating that true greatness in God's kingdom is found in serving others. Every step He took was a step downward in worldly status, a deliberate descent that was actually a path to the greatest victory in history. His entire life was a masterclass in this quiet strength, showing us that power under control, power used for love and service, is the most potent force in the universe. This posture of the heart is the master key that unlocks a treasure chest of wisdom. The book of Proverbs tells us that pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Why is this connection so direct and unavoidable? Because pride is a state of being closed off. A person full of pride believes they already have all the answers. Their cup is full, so there is no room for God to pour anything new into it. They can't be taught, they can't be guided, and they can't truly listen because the only voice they hear is their own. Humility, in contrast, is a state of openness. It's the honest admission that we don't have it all figured out. It's saying to God, I need your guidance. I need your perspective. My understanding is limited, but yours is infinite. When we approach God with this attitude, our ears are suddenly open to His still, small voice. Our eyes are open to the lessons He places in our path every day. Wisdom isn't just about knowing facts. It's about seeing life from God's point of view. Pride blocks that view completely. Humility clears the way, allowing us to receive the divine insights we desperately need to navigate our lives, our relationships, and our purpose. It is the soil in which wisdom can finally take root and flourish. This leads us to one of the most beautiful and seemingly contradictory principles in our walk with God. The way up is down. Jesus said it plainly, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. The Apostle James echoes this, urging us to humble ourselves before the Lord, and He will lift us up. This isn't a formula for success or a trick to get what we want from God. It's a fundamental law of the spiritual realm. When we try to promote ourselves, to claw our way to the top, to make sure everyone sees how great we are operating by the world's rules. We are relying on our own strength, and the result is often fleeting and fragile. But when we willingly humble ourselves under God's mighty hand, we are making a powerful declaration of trust. We are saying, God, I trust your timing. I trust your plan for my life more than my own. I will focus on serving you right where I am, and I will leave the promotion and the lifting to you. This kind of surrender is terrifying to our ego, but it is liberating for our spirit. God's exaltation isn't always about worldly fame or fortune. It's about being lifted into a place of greater influence for His kingdom, greater spiritual authority, deeper peace, and a more intimate relationship with Him. He lifts us up in due time, His time, which is always the perfect time. So how do we cultivate this foundation in our day-to-day lives? It starts with small, intentional choices. It looks like listening more than we speak, genuinely seeking to understand another person's perspective before we offer our own. It's being quick to admit when we are wrong without making excuses. It's learning to say, I'm sorry, and truly meaning it. Humility in action is celebrating the victories of others with genuine joy, rather than feeling a pang of jealousy or comparison. It's choosing to serve in the background without needing a spotlight or a thank you, finding fulfillment simply in the act of giving. It is the practice of seeing every single person we meet, from the janitor to the CEO, as a precious soul made in the image of God, worthy of respect and kindness. It's found in our prayer life, when we stop presenting God with a list of demands and instead come with an open heart, asking Him to shape our desires to match His. Each of these small acts is like tilling the soil of our hearts, making it softer and more receptive to the work God wants to do in and through us. We must also be aware of the quiet enemy, pride. It is a master of disguise. It doesn't always show up as loud arrogance. Sometimes it's the subtle voice of comparison that whispers when we scroll through social media. Sometimes it's the defensiveness that rises up when we receive constructive criticism. It can be the secret thought that we would have handled a situation better than someone else, or the quiet reluctance to ask for help because we don't want to appear weak. Pride is the constant pull towards self-reliance and self-glorification. Recognizing its subtle tactics is half the battle. This isn't about beating ourselves up, but about developing a spiritual awareness. We can begin to see those moments of pride not as failures, but as invitations to turn back to God, to choose humility once more, and to lean on His grace to overcome that internal pull. The journey of faith is a continuous process of laying down our pride at the foot of the cross and picking up the towel of service. In the end, humility is not a destination we arrive at, but a path we choose to walk every day. It's the bedrock upon which a strong, vibrant, and resilient faith is built. It isn't about denying our strengths and gifts, but about recognizing their true source. It's the freedom of knowing that our worth is not tied to our performance or people's opinions, but is securely anchored in our identity as a child of God. This quiet strength, this posture of the heart, is what allows God to truly work in our lives, to mold us, shape us, and grow us into the people He created us to be. So, the question for us today is this: what is one piece of pride we can lay down? And in what area of our life can we choose to walk humbly, trusting that God's hand will guide us and lift us up in His perfect way?